Hey, day 16. Share a little bit of my progress. It looks like I got a beautiful eyeshadow going on. I had a few people kind of look at me funny and literally ask me if it was something with my makeup, and then they happened to see the other little scrape down here on my eye, and so I've had to explain my unfortunate story more than once, which is okay. That means people care about me, which makes me really happy. I had one of my coworkers said, I told her that I had fallen running, and she says, okay, are you serious, or do you need to give me the code of, what, I don't know, there's apparently a code that you do if you're being abused at home, but I promise you I'm not being abused at home. I also love that my coworkers give me their old grandmother's remedies, I guess. So this little $3 bottle of, I don't even know what, because I can't even read it because the half of it's covered up. But I have a Hispanic coworker, and she's wonderful, and she took time to doctor me up today. So apparently it helps dry out the wound. And this was a very deep cut, and it's probably my hand has been extremely sore towards the end of the day, probably because I'm right-handed, and so I use it a lot. And so by the end of the day, it's very achy. And then today I noticed when I take a deep breath right here in my chest, and my back had already kind of hurt the day I did it in my shoulder. I mean, I really feel like I pulled something because I landed on that side. But so I thought maybe I bruised a rib, but that's, my ribs are a little lower, and I don't know. It hurts right here when I breathe heavy. So I'm hoping that all, goes away too, because I know everybody tells me, and I have not gone to the doctor because WebMD, you just read it, and I feel like I'm okay. And a lot of the stuff, like a concussion and like a muscle spasm or a pulled muscle or bruised ribs, a lot of it, there's nothing you can do with the doctor. They're just gonna, tell you to watch it, be careful and that kind of thing. I did go to run group last night. Love all my running buddies. One gave me, do you need a hug? I was like, absolutely I do, just not on this side. So it was super great to go out with them. I was a little hesitant. I did not run with the group. I stayed behind. I only did 2 miles instead of 3. Walked a little bit of it. I did scuffle my foot at one time, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going down. So I do feel like I have a little bit of PTSD from the fall, which is normal. A lot of the seniors at work have told me, that they become skittish afterwards. But just like when they say when you're riding a bike or riding a horse, as soon as you fall, get back on, get out there. So I'm doing just that, because I do have 2 races scheduled, one in June and one in September. So I can't waste too much time. I'm giving my body time to heal, but at the same time, I don't want to live in fear of this fall. I don't want to let that get the best of me. So I want to get right back out there. Today's topic's kind of fun, and this is a topic that comes up a lot in conversation. It comes up a lot just out in the general when I'm talking to a lot of my friends at work, because of what I have on my desk at work. Now, I brought it home today to show for this demonstration, and I'll show you in just a minute what I'm talking about. But because I set these items on my desk, everybody comes through and plays with it, touches it, inquires about it. So it's kind of fun. It has been quite a great conversation piece, but it's also, the topic is just a lot of misinformation. So I know a lot of people, they say, don't pay attention to the number on the scales. It's all about how you feel. But I do want to let you know that the numbers don't lie. When you step on there, that's it. It's giving you your true number. Because I have a lot of clients, where they're going through their weight loss, and they're like, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm just not losing the weight. And I'm all about this word inventory. I'm always like, you got to take inventory of what it is that you're doing. As a trainer, I only get you 2 hours of 167 hours in a week. And I get you for 2 of those. So I can't create miracles, and you have to do most of the work, obviously. So what you're doing outside of that 1 hour with me is going to reflect what happened, those numbers on the scale. So even though we shouldn't pay attention to that number, because we should really be valuing how we feel and basing it on how we feel, you also have to know the numbers because you have to have a starting point. So, in order, and I always say, tracking the weight is one thing, but you also want to track your BMI, and you definitely want to track your body fat. So you have to know, you have to start somewhere. You have to know the numbers. So especially if you're being told by your doctor that you need, you need to lose such and such amount of weight, in order to maintain in your healthy BMI. So you kind of have to know the numbers. So this is what I keep on my desk, and this is what there's a huge misconception or a huge myth that muscle weighs more than fat. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't. So this is when I say, like, the scales don't lie. So 1 pound is 1 pound. So this is 1 pound of fat. This is 1 pound of muscle. Now, the difference is, and I'll see if I can turn it so you look better. The difference is that muscle, or how you should say it rather, is muscle is denser by volume than fat. So if you see, fat is very bulky. Muscle is very tight. So in your clothes, obviously, if you have, let's just use the number 150. If you're 150 pounds of fat, bulky fat, or 150 pounds of muscle, obviously you're not that whole 150 pounds full of. But let's just say tracking body fat. So if you're 150 pounds and you have a 35% body fat, which is in the obese category, obviously, all this bulky fat, you are going to look heavier than 150 pounds, as opposed to muscle being tighter. That's an ugly hand. Muscle being tighter. And so if you were 150 pounds and you only had, let's say you're in the fitness category and you only had like 10% body fat, obviously you're going to look tighter and more lean. So therefore, that's where I say 150 pounds is 150 pounds. So your body fat is important to know because people say all the time, like, oh my gosh, you don't look like you weigh that much. Well, because muscle is denser than fat. So, but I guarantee if you had a couple extra 10, 20, 30 pounds of bulky fat laying around, you might look like you weigh more, than that 150 pounds. So I just want you to know, no matter what. So we're talking muscle and fat here. So people say it all the time. And I said, it's just like if you took 1 pound of feathers. 1 pound is 1 pound. Now, granted, it might take a whole lot of feathers to make up for that 1 pound, but no matter how you put it on the scale, you're still going to get the same weight. So I hope this clarifies. I like to also use, so when we're working out in the fitness studio or in our classes, we'll use 1 pound water bottles. Because during the COVID, we were exercising outside because it was better to be outside than it was in a small space inside. And nobody wanted to carry weights, or we didn't have the weights from the gym. Nobody wanted to carry them back and forth. So we just used water bottles. It didn't matter if you were using a 1 pound weighted, like a 1 pound weight of, for your weightlifting, or 1 16-ounce bottle of water, because 16 ounces is a pound. So no matter how you look at it, a pound is a pound, whether it's fat, whether it's muscle, or whether it's feathers. It's all the same when you're talking like the weight, the actual weight. But there is a difference when you're looking at it in your clothes. So I'll post another video later with a PowerPoint slide with it that kind of shows you what that looks like in a picture. And you can Google it, go on and just look at various body weights with different body fat percentages, and you'll see this one. I use it at work, and this little tiny frame. They're all these women. They're all 150 pounds. They all measure different in height, and they all measure different in body fat, and you can see the difference in their structure just based on their body fat percentage. So it is very important to know your numbers. If you've never had your body fat percentage measured, please give me a call, message me. We can do your measurements. BMI, it's a simple scale. You can look that up online because it just takes into account your height and your weight. You don't need to get measured with BMI. I use a bioimpedance, and it does actually measure body fat and BMI, all just by inputting your numbers. But if you'd like to know those numbers, let me know. They are important to know, especially if you are under the care of a physician and you're being asked to lose weight or track that for health reasons. So hopefully you learned something new today, new and exciting. So muscle does not weigh more than fat, but it is denser by volume. Just kind of remember that little tidbit of information, and muscle always looks better than fat. So, all right, I will talk to you tomorrow. Love you. Bye.